Ta-da! Here I was gone, now I'm back. Oh, it's like a magic. Uh, Alimony Ale from Buffalo Bills, India Pale Ale. This is an interesting one. And I'm going to tell you an odd story. Because, well, maybe not so odd, but I'm going to tell you a little story anyway. I never had this before. And that's why it's odd, because when this first came around to my local beer store just about a year ago, I'd never heard of it before, and it's actually been available since 1987, or was first brewed in 1987, I guess I should say. Which that kind of brings us to the odd part. I want you all to think about something. This is an IPA. And I want you to think about what craft brewers were available in 1987, and I want you to think about that this thing is 6.8 and 80 IBUs. And I want you to think about that for 1987. Here's the truth. Those are odd numbers if it came out in 1997. Um, it would be a fairly big IPA if it came out in '07. Now, of course, now we know what's happened with the IPA, the double IPA, and everything has gone haywire. But think about this. This was a 6.8, 80 IBU IPA that came out in 1987. I didn't know what an IPA was in 1987, and if most brewed beer drinkers are being honest, they didn't either. Wow. I generally don't like to read reviews because I want to be surprised. But when brewery websites are vague, I find myself forced to. This was one of those. The nose is very nice on it, though. I got to tell you. And I wouldn't say reviews were unkind, but they weren't on the holy crap, that's wonderful range. They were somewhere they weren't a terrible range either, but most of them were kind of in the middle. One gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Some gave it an 85. So you kind of get an idea. It's kind of ranging at a B for most folks. But here's the thing: whether you think this is a great IPA or not, there's a lot of talk about how a beer should be rated. I think that's the problem with numbers and stuff, because there isn't it's not like the Olympics. There's not a general thing you can go, okay, you get points for this. It's really all opinion. Oh man, that is tasty. It's not bad at all. And the problem is that everybody's looking for something different out of it. You got to remember, you can't only you have to rate beers by their specific style. To be honest, you can't compare a Helles to an IPA because they're trying to accomplish two different things. You can't say, well, this beer has no flavor because I like this IPA. It's two different beers. You can't do that. But even with IPAs, you have to take it a little bit different. You got to take into consideration this baby has been brewed since 1987. I was 22 years old in 1987. The craft beers available to me were very limited in 1987. I never heard of this in 1987. I first had my Anchor Steam right about that neighborhood, and I thought that was a wonderful beer. I first had my Red Hook, had a Red Hook Rye and a Red Hook ESB in that same neighborhood, and those were wonderful beers to me. If I'd have had this back then, I imagine the IPAs would have been overwhelming. Holy crap, that is just brutal. Because beers weren't made like that back then. So, I think a lot has to be taken. Anyway, I've kind of got a long way around the barn to say it's really not a bad beer. Is it one of my top 10 IPAs right now, today, right at this moment? Probably not, because there's so many. But it is certainly good, and that brings me to why I bought it. Why did I buy it? Why did you buy it, Tom? Why had you just said it had been available to you for a year, but you just now bought it for the first time? Yeah, because it was $9 a 6 pack. There were other things I knew I liked I bought. Generally, I do go ahead and buy things just to try them. For some reason, I never got around to it. But a local beer store put this thing on sale for $4 a 6 pack. That's why I tried it right now. For me, it's all about the value, man. This is probably worth 9 to 6 pack, but it's definitely worth 4. So I'm going to get out of here.